let's look at the agenda. I'm looking at sharing 5 different components before we have our Q&A session once I'm done with this. So first, I'm looking at why collaborative writing, why it is so important now. Then we are moving to interdisciplinary manuscript, and we are also looking at interdisciplinary manuscript, what is the role of a scientific manuscript, and how to start it, and how G Suite and online group writing is going to enhance this type of collaborative writing. Right. So let's start with why collaborative writing. Yeah, I put a clause here. I said 21st century research needs and strength and interdisciplinary data-driven manuscript. Okay, when we look at what is, I think everything was very fast. In 2018, in back in Malaysia, everybody started talking about Industrial Revolution 4.0 and the 9 pillars, and in a very quick 2 years, we are now in every corner of data-driven industry. So data has become is becoming more and more important, and it is not only in the commercial industry but is also in the academic. So how do we tap into this through the interdisciplinary approach and being introducing the collaborative writing? This is what's very interesting. It is for me, it is a little complex, but do we have a choice to say that it's complex and I don't want to do it? In 21st century, if we are not in forefront, we will be left out. We will be just deleted. The world is just moving without waiting for anybody. Everything is digitized, and we just need to be there to do it. I like it, I don't like it, I have to do it. I have no choice. Otherwise, I'm going to be losing my space in this world. So we being in Asia, Asian country, I think it's very crucial now to look into this approach of collaborative writing. Okay, so here when I said it's collaborative writing, I'm looking at bridging knowledge domain. How do we bridge the knowledge domain through the interdisciplinary research and writing? And when we talk about knowledge domain, how many of us, what is the real understanding that we have when we talk about the knowledge domain? So I'm bringing about a few knowledge domain. It is just a few. We have a big list behind it. Food and agriculture, finance, insurance, healthcare, education, fishery, food security, and renewable energy. What do we understand when we say knowledge domain? And how this knowledge domain, exploring knowledge domain or exploring the natural resources and human needs through the knowledge domain. Today, everybody is looking into how can we translate a knowledge domain. Yeah. So yesterday I was talking to an industry personnel, and he's saying that he was asking me, how fast do you think the data driven industry is going to pick up? I said it's going to take another 30 years, to translate all the knowledge which is available in this world into a digital form. So for the next 30 years, everyone is going to look into how can I translate knowledge into the digital domain. So this is where the collaborative learning is becoming very important, because knowledge will be in one corner. For a very simple example for agriculture, a farmer will have the knowledge how the crop should be, managed from the day one to the harvesting. But are they able to put this knowledge onto the digital media so it will be useful to others? No. So we now need more collaboration. People have to come together. In Malaysia, for me, have just started a family-based knowledge domain experience, we call it, where we have the grandfather, the father, and the son. The son supposed to be the technology driven person. The father is the one who are doing the application, and the grandfather who should have the knowledge. How do you bring these knowledge together, to the digital media and turn it into income, into financial benefits? So this are what we say about the domain knowledge. I hope you can get it. if you don't, you can ask me question towards the end. How do we really translate the domain knowledge into data, into information, into money? So this is very important. And today, academic, even undergraduate or postgraduate students should not be looking into only research and dreaming about I'm being a Nobel Prize winner or I want to do fundamental science. Yes, it's good to do fundamental science, yet the fundamental science need to be translated, need to be applied, need to solve some problems in the world. It is no, we are not in Einstein time, or we are not in the time where we did not have the basic. We are in a different era. We have the fundamental, we have many things. The technology is there. How do I translate my domain knowledge into something applicable for humankind? So this is the most important thing now, right? Let's look at industry revolution at the other side. Yeah, what, how does this is the forefront technology now? When we look at the 11 pillars of the technological advancement, what is the, how do I now integrate the domain knowledge into these 11 pillars? This is where the collaborative approach becoming very important. If you look at this, is these new things, is it didn't exist before this? I would say no. It was all there. Example, when we look at industrial Internet of Things or Internet of Things, IoT, yeah, is IoT not there? I remember back in 1997 when I started my career in academic, I used to work with students on how do you automate your car windscreen, when the rain comes. Can be an automated windscreen work. How does it work? And if you ask me today, that is, at that point of time we did not have a good broadband, so we were not making it like and we didn't have smartphone, so it was like SMS driven. We were using SMS gateways to activate, and in fact we also have projects where we said, okay, before I reach home, I want my aircon to be on, my cooker to cook my rice, to my microwave to heat up my food. And this has been activated through SMS and SMS gateways application. But today, with the wireless and broadband technology and smartphones, we just has shifted this into Internet of Things. So the technology was there. Same goes to cybersecurity. We didn't have the word cyber because there was no cloud servers. We had the physical servers. So when we had physical servers, we had network security, we had firewalls, and so on. So the security was there. It is not a totally new thing. And comes to artificial intelligence, it has been there since I the first time I was exposed to AI was in 1993 when I was doing my first degree. So it is already there. But how it is revolutionized in the industry 4.0, that is the challenge. That is what we are looking at. For example, big data analytics database has always been there. It used to be there, but how many of us really looked into it? How many of us really wanted to use it? That was the challenge. So now it is now coming together. We are bringing all this technology together and putting it into one diagram and say this is industry revolution 4.0, and this is data driven technology, so research driven technology solution, and so on. So, and you look at now, every industry is talking about two things. One is data, second is research. They want to go move, otherwise their business will not have a value. So students in the institution now need to come forward and say, I need to be ready for this to ensure my job market. Because there is one data driven knowledge, and they also want research based job capacity. So how do I enhance this? You see, when we say the research-driven technology solution, the most important is the capacity for you to write. It is no more speaking alone or no more doing it, solving it, and just completing it. It is not enough. We need to do a little beyond that, translate what our capacity into a piece of paper or into materials that could be translated, shared, and looked upon by others to recognize our capacity. And how do we do this? can we do all these domain knowledge and also the technology together? A single person will be able to do it alone? That is the big question now. Collaborative writing is now becoming important due to this challenge that we have. Now we are looking at, before I go in, I've put a clause against it, single or multiple domain driven by technology. So it can be a single domain and driven by a technology, so it still become collaborative, or it can be multiple domain, more than one domain. So I've given an example of a 3 domain here. My first column shows that cardiovascular, which is under healthcare, and then second column shows electronics, which comes under engineering, and the third column shows analytics, which comes under computing. So how these three different segment, different sector, different domain is now going to be together in solving a problem. Yeah, that is the collaborative writing all about. So when we look at here, when we say cardiovascular again now, itself can be a multidiscipline or multi-domain, because there is cardiovascular under medicine, that's under allied health, and also in pharmacology. And or if we go further, we can even look into nursing, rehabilitation, all those also comes under. So I actually classed it nursing and rehab and everything else under the allied health. So that's why I've figured it out as medicine, allied health, and pharmacology. So cardiovascular itself in the healthcare industry can be a multi-domain driven, but now can it go on its own, or it needs the technology? That is the next question. Yeah. Then we looked at electronics here. When we talk about electronics engineering, we can look into control, we can look into image signal processing, communication, microelectronics, and many others. So how do I actually understand when I say collaborative writing? Am I going to write in my domain, in my own domain with multiple sector? Do they call that as a collaborative writing? That has been addressed as the interdisciplinary approach? That's I'm going to address it next. And then when it comes to analytics under computing, you can see that I've highlighted on database, machine learning, regression, and so on. So this is like now, if you look at it, it's like three-dimensional. It's not a two-dimension, three-dimensional, or even four-dimensional kind of approach. So how do I extract this and put into one single writing? How am I going to come out with the paper? What is the approach? What is the strategy? How I can imply creativity in producing a interdisciplinary manuscript? So that's going to be the challenge. Yeah, interdisciplinary manuscript. So when we talk about interdisciplinary manuscript, we are really looking at interdisciplinary study, which allows for synthesis of ideas and the synthesis of characteristics from many disciplines. At the same time, it addresses students' individual differences and helps to develop important transferable skills. So we here looking at a single manuscript, which is going to address individual students' differences, their talent, their skills in one manuscript, and finally, this manuscript can be synthesize the idea and bring about a solution to the reader community. So that is the main aspect of interdisciplinary manuscript. Okay, when you look at interdisciplinary manuscript writing, what is the true challenge in this? What is our why Asians are not very popular in this? But Western, if you look at Western world, the last 15 years, they're already focusing into this. And you would have realized that IEEE transactions and also IEEE journals has actually renamed their transaction and journals and to accommodate this interdisciplinary manuscript. There's many new journals that they have introduced and they brought about to cater into this interdisciplinary manuscript. And when I look at those journals, very limited writing except from Asia, except from China. If you see, there's there's a flood of manuscripts from China in these magazines. They have done lots and lots of work in the interdisciplinary sector. And how, when you look at here the strategies, the strategy for effective collaborative manuscript development in interdisciplinary, what is stopping us? What is actually the obstacle? What I observe from my experience collaborating with Sri Lanka, with India, and I have also collaborators from UK, from Spain, from and Australia and New Zealand. And the difference I see from the Western world and the East world is the attitude, the behavior. How do we manage this? That's very important. Number one, our largest difficulty is transparency. How transparent can we be in our team? Understand team composition. See, when you have interdisciplinary manuscript writing, you have more than one people, and each one of them a master of their own field. They are equal. No one here is like, I am set for you. I'm less capable. No, you are now writing a paper with three individuals or four individuals or five individuals who are equally capable. In this, when you have capable people sitting together in one team, what will be the challenge? Is the transparency. It's going to help to overcome this. How transparent are you? No one is less to the next person. So understand the team composition and their role and their contribution. Respect them. When, let's say now we are writing a manuscript where we have healthcare engineering, yeah, and we are looking into cardiovascular. You need someone from the cardiovascular sector. It can be a cardiologist, and then you have an engineer who is from the biomedical engineering, who has an expertise in sensor design, and then you have a computing expert who is going to do the modeling using artificial intelligence or machine learning. So we have three people. They may not be senior, they may be students, but they are three different individuals who are an expert in their own field. And when you come together to write a manuscript, how are you going to tolerate? How transparent it's going to be? It can you say, okay, I will do it myself? No, that's not going to work. You need to be transparent, because my next segment, you will see why this transparency is needed. If the transparency is not there, the manuscript is not going to be materialized. Yeah. And then the second challenge here is inclusion and fairness. How inclusion we are, how inclusive we being to each other in the team, and the fairness. How are we going to treat each members? Maybe one of us have to be the lead, but when you are being the lead, how are we going to treat everyone in the team fairly? This is where I think openness, integrity, it's going to play a big role. Create team co-authorship policy. Be very transparent. You have maybe the institution can come up with this, or IEEE student branch can come up with this, idea how team co-authorship policy should be. And I look at it, when team co-authorship policy, it is very much culturally binded. The co-authorship policy in Malaysia may be different in India, different in Sri Lanka, different in other part of the world. So now, how do we sit together and come up with a good policy that is going to ensure the inclusivity and also the fairness? It is very important. This is where human, what we call it, our psychology is going to work. If I'm going to get equal recognition, I'm going to be well recognized by writing in this paper, it's going to be great. Because when you have manuscripts or articles published, the citation will be very high. You get good citations. You really get excellent citations in this type of articles. So you can see some of the Western papers, especially the clinical papers, they will have like huge number of people, and like some papers I've seen is almost like 20 authors. So how these 20 authors come together, and you look at their citation, in 1 year they may reach about 1,000 citations. So this is where, you are being recognized, you are being seen by the world as a contributor in this scientific research. So it is, it is becoming more and more important now. Next will be accountability. How much and how accountable I am. Clearly state every members of team's contribution. So it is, if you are not being responsible, accountable to what you are supposed to do, and you don't put the puzzles together on time, that is going to be a very crucial. And it's also the quality of writing. We want all the three individual who is writing this manuscript have equal quality in delivering their output. So that is another very crucial. When you have a problem, how are you going to like openly talk to other members and seek for help and say, okay, I need help here. If you go to Western countries and you join their team, you can be so open. When we are in our own community, we are always failed to really look into. So the next point here is the efficiency and productivity. And timeliness in completing the assigned task accurately is very important in the interdisciplinary manuscript, because we can't afford to wait for the others. This is one main failure I would say happens in my own team. Yeah, people don't keep their time. They don't complete it on time, and this makes us unable to publish according to our schedule. So this is a huge challenge here, and this comes with culture, attitude, behavior, and also the interest in in completing their task, especially in writing. And you can see generally this is a big challenge among all of us in the research. Writing is our biggest challenge. Compared to everything, we can do the experiments. We can actually carry out every experiments, collect the data, and put them nicely, and come up with impressive results. But how am I going to translate this in a writing form and make the world to see it and make the world to appreciate it? So this is where the interdisciplinary manuscript writing, I would always say, happiness of each member of the team determines the success of the publication. So now the teamwork, the members in the team, the openness between them, it is the crucial factor in the success of an interdisciplinary manuscript publishing. Right. Okay. Now let's move to our next step. Scientific manuscript. What we mean by scientific manuscript here, before I go into the step where how we're going to handle these challenges that we spoke just now. Blended fundamental knowledge and tech application with creativity and strategy. So in scientific manuscript, when we talk about science itself, the fear is already there. Do I really know how much I know? How detailed I know? Am I good enough? What people is going to think, what others going to think about my knowledge? Am I really competent? Then you will go to Google and ask you question, and suddenly you felt that, oh my God, I don't know, I don't have enough knowledge, I don't think I can do it, I cannot understand what Google is telling me. So this behavior, these feelings, how do I manage all these? This is very it becoming very, very common today with social media and Google being ruling our life. So when we talk about scientific manuscript, yeah, and also the fundamental knowledge, tech application, and creativity and strategy, individually the students have to create a strength in themselves. They need to believe in themselves that I have the knowledge, I have studied, I have done my work, I have enough. I've done enough in my life, and now I'm ready to write. So this attitude, believing in yourself, it's very psychological approach But I'm not very sure. We back in Malaysia, we do a lot of work now with students in this aspect. We give them a lot of strength, a lot of activities, training. In fact, myself, I do a lot of training in student profiling now. How to profile the student, how to identify the strength of the student and highlight their strength and bring them out from the cloud they are stuck with. Rather, I think it's gone the days where we said, okay, address your weaknesses. What is your weaknesses? Change yourself. And today it's no more that. Today we said, identify your strength and enhance your strength. And the automatically your weaknesses will be deleted from you. So this is the approach that we are going currently in our center. We look at people's strength. We don't even talk about the weaknesses. Leave the weaknesses alone. When your strength is highlighted and when your strength is enhanced, automatically your weaknesses will go away from you. So this is what we believe. So it is very important in a scientific manuscript to have this confidence for you to write. So, and when we talk about scientific manuscript, I said why scientific manuscript needs, sorry, I missed the word needs, additional attention in interdisciplinary writing. So it is very important. Scientific manuscript, when we talk about scientific manuscript, we are looking at why scientific manuscript needs additional attention in interdisciplinary writing. That if you look at the pictures that I've shared here, so the pictures here, when I put in a lot of equations, a lot and graphs and so on, it shows that scientific manuscript needs have the fundamental understanding for you to translate your results in a form that other individuals can understand what you are trying to translate. What are you trying to provide to them? So it is a little additional work need to be done here before you can even prepare yourself to write the manuscript. So that is that challenge. How do we handle this challenge? That is a very important task for our students today. They always have good results, they have good work, they have good output from their experiment and so on. They always come to me and ask, okay, but when I present it, people don't understand what I'm trying to say. How can I make this more visible? How can I make people appreciate what I've done? And how can I show them that my results are useful in a particular domain or in a particular industry? How do I do that? So that is the biggest challenge when we talk about scientific manuscript compared to the non-science manuscript, non-technical manuscript. So here, the writers have another challenge.